He wasn't born into privilege, no powerful family, no elite education. Just a quiet boy from Hangzhou, patient, persistent, and impossible to ignore. In a country rebuilding from hardship, he learned that the world doesn't hand out opportunities, you create them. From construction sites to crowded markets, every failure sharpened him, every setback made him stronger. And then he built something no one saw coming. Not a tech company, not a luxury brand, something simpler yet far more powerful. It isn't gold, it isn't oil, it's water-bottled, branded, and sold to 1 billion people. A red label became a symbol of purity and pride. But behind that clarity, the water was never still. Whispers of environmental damage, allegations of control, and a man who never spoke yet moved an entire nation. From the frozen peaks of Changbai Mountain to the skyline of Shanghai, his empire flows quietly through every home. But who is he? And how did a silent outsider become one of the richest men in Asia? This isn't just a story about water, it's about power, the power to shape perception and turn nature itself into an empire. He is Zhong Shanshan, and this is the rise of Nongfu Spring, the empire that bottled purity and sold it to 1 billion people. He was born in 1954 in Hangzhou, a quiet lakeside city that would one day become a symbol of his destiny. His parents were journalists, educated, disciplined, and steeped in the ideals of the new China. Yet the nation around them was turbulent, still finding its balance after revolution. For the young Zhong Shanshan, childhood was less about comfort and more about endurance. He wasn't a prodigy, he wasn't privileged. He was curious, a boy who questioned everything. When schools echoed ideology more than ideas, he walked away. Dropping out of middle school wasn't rebellion, it was survival. He preferred the unpredictable lessons of the real world to the rigid scripts of classrooms. Through his teenage years, he wandered between jobs: arborer, mason, fisherman, and street vendor. He worked with his hands, not his titles. In a China that valued conformity, Zhong was already learning independence, a trait that would define him for life. By his 20s, he had moved to the bustling construction sites of Zhejiang. The work was harsh, but it taught him the rhythm of effort and reward. He learned that patience could be power, yet he wanted more than wages. He wanted meaning. When he picked up a reporter's notebook in the early 1980s, his world widened. As a journalist, Zhong traveled across provinces, interviewing business owners, farmers, and factory managers. He saw China transforming a nation of scarcity, quietly turning into a nation of opportunity. In the mid-1980s, reform was sweeping through China. The old order was breaking, and private enterprise was no longer forbidden. For Zhong, it was the opening he had been waiting for. He left journalism, picked up a briefcase, and stepped into the uncertain world of trade and marketing. His early ventures were modest, selling mushrooms, operating a small business, and dealing in nutritional products. He discovered that the greatest wealth lay not in what people wanted, but in what they needed every single day: food, health, and water. Toward the end of the decade, that realization guided him towards something bigger. Health science was emerging as a national focus, and Zhong saw the link between well-being and longevity. He founded a small pharmaceutical venture that later evolved into Beijing Wantai Biological Pharmacy Enterprise, a company that worked on vaccines and diagnostics, long before the world understood how valuable that knowledge would become. By the early 1990s, China was shifting gears. The reform era had unleashed a storm of private ambition, factories replacing farmland, foreign brands flooding the market, and ordinary citizens daring to dream again. Among them was Zhong Shanshan, now in his late 30s, quiet, disciplined, and ready to rewrite the rules. His experience at Beijing Wantai Biological Pharmacy Enterprise had taught him precision, how science, hygiene, and consumer trust could coexist. He began studying what people consumed daily and saw a paradox. In a nation full of rivers and lakes, people still boiled water before drinking it. Clean water was abundant, yet safe water was scarce. In 1996, he turned toward bottled water, a bold idea in a country that barely trusted it. Many considered it unnecessary, even elitist. But Zhong believed that with the right message, purity could become a product. Thus emerged Nongfu Spring, Farmer's Spring. While competitors advertised machines and filtration systems, Zhong sold origin forests, mountains, and mist. The first plant rose near Qiandao, Thousand Island Lake in Zhejiang, a setting so picturesque it became the brand's soul. From there, Nongfu expanded methodically, securing China's most pristine water sources, Hubei Danjiangkou, Junzhou Reservoir feeding the south-to-north water transfer project, Jilin Changbai Mountain Volcanic Mineral Springs. Zhejiang Thousand Island Lake is the brand's birthplace and symbolic core. Guangdong Wanlv Lake, Southern Purity near the Pearl River Delta. Shanghai Nongfu Spring Drinking Water Company's logistics hub connects the nation. By the early 2000s, Nongfu bottles lined convenience stores, office desks, and school bags. Its red label symbolized reliability amid a flood of unknown brands. Competitors like Wahaha and Cestbon fought for shelf space, but Zhong's strength was restraint, no flashy slogans, no celebrity endorsements, only consistency. While Nongfu focused on water, Zhong quietly expanded under the Yang Shengtang Group, linking his pharmaceutical and beverage interests into one vertically integrated ecosystem, from water to health, from nature to nourishment. By 2003, Nongfu introduced tea beverages and vitamin drinks, anticipating China's growing health awareness. Zhong, however, remained invisible, avoiding interviews and public events. While CEOs became celebrities, he built a myth through silence, inspecting factory lines more often than red carpets. By 2008, Nongfu Spring stood at the center of China's bottled water revolution, competing head-to-head with multinationals like Coca-Cola and Nestlé. The factories and fortune were firmly in place, but success drew scrutiny. By 2008, Nongfu Spring had won China's thirst. But beneath the calm surface of its success, a storm was brewing. The brand had conquered shelves and households, and with that dominance came a spotlight it had never asked for. China was changing. The Beijing Olympics marked a new era of pride and global confidence, but also of scrutiny. For the first time, consumers weren't just buying, they were questioning. The bottled water boom had evolved from a business into a public test of integrity. Then, in 2013, the first blow landed. A provincial newspaper dropped a bombshell. Nongfu Spring, the self-proclaimed porter of nature, was accused of using water quality standards lower than national law required. The story spread like wildfire. For a brand built on purity, the accusation was a poison pill. But the damage was done. In business, rumor travels faster than truth. While others shouted, he streamlined investing in automation, logistics, and manufacturing discipline. To him, quiet efficiency was the loudest form of confidence. Still, the questions kept coming. Environmental activists now targeted Nongfu's water extraction, accusing it of draining nature's veins. Zhong didn't argue. He funded conservation programs and published ecological impact reports. He didn't win the debate with words, he won it with action. Then came 2015, the year of transformation. What began as a response to crisis evolved into a strategy for dominance. Nongfu Spring launched ready-to-drink coffee, vitamin-infused beverages, and the now iconic Oriental leaf tea. By 2017, the storm had finally passed. Nongfu Spring emerged from a decade of turbulence, stronger, sharper, and untouchable. Its processes were impeccable, its systems bulletproof. Zhong Shanshan had done the impossible. He had turned scandal into structure and silence into power. While others built empires of noise, he built one of discipline and endurance. Nongfu Spring was no longer a company, it was a symbol of resilience in an age of chaos. The waters had been tested, and they were still once more. By 2017, the storm had passed. Nongfu Spring, tested by a decade of fire, hadn't just survived it, had hardened into an institution. Then the world stopped. As a global pandemic sowed chaos, it triggered something primal, the need for purity. While other industries faltered, one habit became a ritual. In shelves emptied, but one item was always replenished, the familiar red-capped bottle. Nongfu Spring was no longer just a product. It was a psychological anchor in a sea of uncertainty. That September 2020, in a world desperate for stability, the company launched its IPO on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. The reaction was electric. Shares skyrocketed 50% on day one. Within weeks, the quiet man who once sold mushrooms was crowned China's richest, his fortune surpassing $60 billion. It was more than a financial milestone, it was a cultural coronation for a homegrown titan. Flush with capital, Zhong didn't simply expand, he engineered an ecosystem. Every move was strategic. Smart Life, Anji. Chunan Tea Garden/Oriental Leaf. Xinjiang Nongfu Base, securing fruit resources for natural beverages. By 2022, Nongfu Spring had transcended product status to become the embodiment of a wellness-driven Chinese lifestyle. Exports flowed through Southeast Asia, Japan, Europe, and into the Middle East, signaling a global advance. At the empire's height, its emperor began to vanish. In 2024, corporate filings revealed a subtle shift. Zhong Shanshan stepped down as legal representative of Hangzhou Nongfu Spring, Xinfeng Fruit Industry, and Hubei Danjiangkou Beverage. By 2025, the empire spanned 20 production bases and a workforce of 20,000. The Yangsheng Tang Group was valued at over $70 billion, but the next battle won't be over shelf space. It will be a war for sustainability against plastic waste and climate change. Nongfu Spring now stands as a monument to silence and discipline. From school bags to stock markets, Zhong Shanshan proved that an empire can be built one drop at a time, and that the strongest voice is often the quietest one. In a country of noise, he built an empire in silence. While others shouted their success, he whispered his through a bottle of water that came to define trust, health, and the meaning of purity itself. From a dropout in Hangzhou to a billionaire controlling one of the world's most powerful beverage brands, Zhong Shanshan's journey wasn't fueled by luck or loud ambition, but by patience, precision, and purpose. He didn't sell water. He sold belief that what comes from nature can still be honest, and that simplicity, when perfected, can conquer complexity. Yet behind the calm surface flows the same question that built his empire. How much purity can survive in a world driven by profit? In every bottle lies both nature's gift and man's control, a reminder that the most basic human need can also become the most profitable commodity. Zhong Shanshan turned that choice into an empire, and in his silence, he left behind the loudest lesson of all, that sometimes the purest power lies not in what you say, but in what you build.